Good morning, everyone. Today we are back with Wisdom Wednesday, and today's topic is effective communication. Over this week or so, maybe a little bit further than this week, I've been saying that a common theme has been communication and figuring out how to get to a certain level of understanding when you have disagreements with someone, or you might just not, honestly, just not understand. So today we'll be talking about effective communication. So for anybody that's new on Wisdom Wednesdays, please drop your intro, something that you're interested in, and for people that have already been consistent with coming to Wisdom Wednesdays, please just drop how you feeling today. I'm feeling good. It's Wednesday, it's the middle of the week. I'm ready for Friday. I don't know, this week kind of been giving me like rolling with the punches throughout this whole week. So I don't know. How you feeling, Mr. Eric?
I'm feeling pretty good this morning, and good morning, everyone joining us. Excited to talk about communication with you, interacting with you. It's going to be a really fun session, and I'm just excited to be here with you. I'm grateful that you have me on today.
Thank you so much. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is what does effective communication even look like? Like, Mr. Eric, I know you can probably give a different perspective, but like, and maybe like think about in the workplace if it's a disagreement, what does effective communication look like?
So in a lot of cases, it's not just about talking, right? You got to actually be listening closely to what the other person is saying, how they're feeling, especially in a disagreement. Because if you're just kind of expressing your opinion in the situation, you're not really getting their perspective, right? And so kind of that's how I try to go after the situation, kind of ask questions, feel out how it's going, and then kind of roll with it from there. How about you, Cam?
Sorry, Mr. Eric, my Wi-Fi just dropped, but I picked up and I put my hotspot. I'm telling you, I'm rolling with the punches today. Can you repeat what you said?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So kind of what I try to do is I try to gather that other person's perspective, um, ask questions, but most of all, listen and try to feel out how they're feeling. Because if you're not really listening to the other person, you can't really figure out how to get through the situation, how to resolve that conflict. So that's kind of how I try to approach it. And I was just asking you, how do you approach those situations?
Um, for me, I kind of take that most of communication is the body language and like the tone and different things like that. Sometimes it's not even really the word. I kind of think of this saying, "It's not what you say, but how you say it." My mother used to always tell me that, so I kind of think about that. When situations come and I really don't understand what someone is saying, I just try my best to put myself in their shoes. Like sometimes I know I am a little bit stubborn when it comes to my point of view, but I still try to like practice a little bit of empathy and put myself in other people's shoes to try to view how they're feeling. And I ask questions because the only way you actually really know something is if you ask. So like if something triggered you or they reacted to something a little out of the ordinary, I'm like, what made you feel that way? Like I'm not going to just expect them to tell me because sometimes people just don't open up and say that. Like for me, I'm still working on my communication. So when something's bothering me, I take a little bit of time, a lot of bit of time to actually say how I'm feeling. So if people ask me or kind of like prompt me on, ask me how I'm feeling, then eventually I'll actually open up and communicate how I'm feeling. But right now, I'm kind of just trying to figure out how to just jump right on it and say how I'm feeling at the time.
True. Yeah. So kind of letting yourself breathe a little bit first. I think that's really smart. Something I learned and was taught in school was like if you're about to write an email, like a kind of angry email or angry text or something, really try to breathe and let it go for a little bit first before you respond. At least that's what I do. But it looks like we have Dante here to join us. Excited to have him over here. Hey Dante, how you doing this morning?
Hey y'all, my day is just everywhere right now. It was so much stuff going on, but I'm here with y'all.
We're glad to have you here, Dante. All right, so today we're talking about effective communication, and we just started kind of talking about how we deal with conflicts, like if it's in a work environment or something like that.
So I'm gonna get right into it. A way how and like effective communication with like a work environment. Um, Something I had to learn like by myself. Like I can't like having like a project or something like that. Like, and if I'm not like cool with this person, I wouldn't put like I would not put like problems against like work. We can like we're gonna have to work together as a team, but at the end of the day, we know like behind the scenes, like we know what's going on and things like that. So it's like don't try and put like for instance, don't try to have beef with somebody and you know that you're on like at work or something, and then once you're at work and you show it like you're arguing like constantly every day, and it's like like termination to probably come in place because it's like you're fussing and like arguing because y'all don't know how to communicate or leave it like as like young leaders or adults maybe, like whether the like whatever the problem is, like as long as you just leave it like as an adult or like say something to an adult or keep it like keep like the like keep it cordial, like talking, like keep like being team leaders and things like that. So yeah.
So I know Mr. Eric, thank you, Dante. I know Mr. Eric kind of touched on what you need for effective communication, but like, what do you feel like is like the perfect combo for effective communication? Like, I know listening is a part of it, body language and things like that, but like, what do you feel like is essential to effective communication? Thinking about like how fast you should respond, everything. Think about all the aspects.
um with that right there, I feel like with emails and stuff, like when I get an email, like sometimes like I could be in a meeting and the email, like, cause like on MacBooks and stuff like that, like if you have like Gmail or iCloud or something, it is like pop up on the side of your screen. So I will see it, but don't open it. So I give like myself like a 10-minute, 15-minute grace period to answer the email or actually read the email instead of putting something crazy on there. Which I like, if you put something crazy on there, then you know you didn't read the email, kind of thing. So like reading emails within like 10-15 minutes, like having yourself like a 10-15 minute grace period, because like once you tap it and open it, it'll pop up like at red or whatever. um Actually read, like understanding, getting both sides, um see where people are coming from, because I was always told it's two parts to a story, and the third person just mediates the problem, close the problem, and hear both sides. um Another thing I can say, like texting how you feel. Always like try to like meet halfway with someone. Like you're trying to solve the problem, but this person right here is also trying to solve the problem, but they're not talking as much. So yeah.
Mr. Eric, what do you think is needed for effective communication?
Well, I really like this one comment that just came in. Kendall said, I will generally come in with an open mind, positive attitude, and good body language. It's best to go with positivity in all situations rather than negative. Yeah, so I'm all about that. Bring that positivity, and definitely having an open mind. Like you were talking about empathy, really trying to see from that other person's perspective as much as you can. Um, and I also saw a comment that kind of mentioned like letting it go. Like maybe you write something out and then you delete it. I'd be careful if you're writing the email out that's kind of in a reply situation where let's say their email is in there. So if you accidentally click send, it's going to go. So I would maybe write it out in my notes, or like if I have a piece of paper, kind of write down my thoughts, kind of work it out that way, and then respond. Um, and someone else said patience. So being patient in a situation, it's easier said than done, but I definitely think that it's really important to kind of lead with that.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely can piggyback off of those like positive attitude and kind of have keeping a growth mindset. Because if you got a fixed mindset that the situation just not going to be solved, then it won't be solved. And if you come in with a positive attitude or growth mindset, you can come in like we're gonna get through this. Whatever disagreement it is, we'll come to a certain level of understanding where we can at least coexist or whatever the case may be. You had to be optimistic about what something will be, how it will go. Because I mean, sometimes you attend something to go some way or someone to take something some way and they take it a whole other direction. So I feel like you do have to come in with an open mind as well. Um, I feel like you have to also know a little bit about yourself when going into certain situations. Because sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, when I have disagreements with people, I don't even know what I be saying sometimes. Like I gotta sit back and think about what I'm saying before I say it. So being intentional about what I say. And I don't necessarily always know how I'm gonna react to something. So sometimes I gotta take some time to myself, reevaluate, regroup, and then go back and respond. Because if I respond at just off whim and something may upset me, like I don't know, it might be something that I really don't want to say. So you got to be really like thoughtful when handling disagreements and communicating with people and actually want to understand the other person's perspective, because sometimes we can say it, it's easy to say it, but when you're trying to actually put yourself in the shoes of that person and really trying to understand where they're coming from, it's like, dang, maybe I was wrong. Like you can't have too much pride either, like when going into a certain situation, because you're not going to always be right. Dante, you got any questions you think you could ask us?
Um, actually, I definitely can agree with you because it's like like dealing with a conflict or whatever, and you're not like you don't understand what you're like. You don't even know what you're talking about. It's via email, and it'd be like, oh, say for instance, someone's trying to cuss you out on the email. You'd be like, bro, like what? Like what's going on, kind of thing. So I definitely can relate because that happened to me multiple times. Like someone argument at you, and like you like hash back at them like because like anger or something like that, or build up energy because I do it myself. But it's like now that like I have to think about it, like if we're like argument is not going to get anywhere. Communicating, I feel like communicating is like a better like chance of trying fixing like a bond or a relationship, whether it you're like friends, co-friends, partners, or anything. But I also feel as though when you're talking about like communication, communication comes with in multiple different ways. You have like communication, like yeah, like it comes in different ways. Communication doesn't just come from one person, it has to come from within, kind of thing, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so I know we kind of been talking about like um communication is a general sense, sometimes without knowing a person, sometimes with knowing a person. Like what's the difference between how you communicate with a stranger versus how you communicate with somebody that you already personally involved with?
um for me, a stranger, like I could be outside and they're like, oh hey young fella, I'd be like, hello, how you doing? And I like, and like they try to like gain like a conversation. I can have a conversation with you, but when the conversation, like when I feel like the conversation turning left, I walk off. But like I don't like I'm like, everybody, all right, I'm about to like go in the house, like kind of like wrapping the conversation up, kind of thing. So with like a stranger or whatever, but with like someone I know, because everybody, not everybody, but a good amount of people know me, and I'm very goofy or whatever. So my communication with people that I know, because I text all the time, I email, call, all that. So it's like with my communication with people that I know, it's very good. I can say to the least. Um, when I had to do some things like cutting people off because it was like communication and the way how you're feeling and the way how I'm feeling, it's not adding up. So I was like, maybe this would be just like the best step, and just like like cut off friendships, I guess. So yeah.
When you're talking about talking to strangers on the street, I'm just thinking, man, I am not a fan of small talk sometimes. And like having something to chat about with somebody new can be really hard on occasion, at least for me. So it's like trying to think of maybe having topics prepared even is sometimes useful when you're meeting someone new. Let's say you have like an interview or something, like coming prepared with questions is always helpful because otherwise like you're stuck talking about the weather or something. That's not what you want, right? So I don't know. How about you, Cam? What do you do when you meet someone new?
For me, I'm like not professional. I'm still myself. It's just like I might still be a little bit of goofy. Um, I don't know. I can't really describe it. I conduct myself the best way that I can when I meet new people. I'm normally like welcoming, friendly, depending on what situation it is. Any room that I'm in, I'm always just trying to welcome someone to do something or tell them about what I do, ask them about what they do. I guess I'm kind of like a people person in a sense, but sometimes I do like being to myself. So I guess it depends what day you catch me on, how I'm going to react. Sometimes I could be just like reserved and you doing more of the talking. Sometimes I don't want to talk a lot and I'm talking a lot, telling you about what I do, asking a whole bunch of questions like it's an interview. So that's how I am. Mr. Erg, do you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking about kind of making that eye contact. Like if you're trying to connect with someone, um, I think that's like a really important thing that we sometimes forget about, right? Like maybe you're like looking down because you're nervous, or like looking around and not really paying attention to that person because you want to show them that you're like with them, you know. Um, but I saw a question in the chat. Joey Barga's asking, "How do you deal with passive aggressive people?" That can be a tough one because in that case, they're not really being direct with you, right? But they're upset with you. So, like, how do you confront that
Maybe
situation?
I'm one of them people. I think I think
Don't admit that.
I think I'm one of the people.
I feel like it happens sometimes. You don't realize you're doing it. You know, I like
Yeah,
catch
I think
myself doing it on
I
occasion.
realized after the fact, but I think I'm definitely a passive aggressive person. Like I'd be mad with you, I won't talk to you, then eventually I tell you. That's what I need to really work on effective communication because sometimes I really wait like a week or two before I really realize how I want to tell you whatever I had to tell you, why I've been upset, acting away. I think I'm a passive aggressive person. So how do I deal with myself? Um, I'm taking it day by day so I can get my communication together. So I would say that. Don't say what you think.
Um, I can definitely say because my best friend, she's one of them. I had to figure that out myself because she will rarely talk to me. I'd be like, "What you mad at me for? I didn't do anything," but like I can say having like talks with like trying like small talks with the person, like asking them, "Are you okay? Do you need like do you need help?" Like small conversations because I do that myself, and those small conversations really helps our relationship because it's like not only like because she deal with trauma, but I deal with trauma as well, and her being like her being that, and she won't talk to you, like she'll like deep inside she'll like have built up anger on a person, but when like a person like flash out on her, she ready to fight. I'm like, no, that's not how it is. Like talk before you but yeah, like before things get hectic, try and talk it out because you have like she have a courtesy of keeping deep energy all the way deep inside, and I'm like, let it out, like write it down, cry it out, write it down on a glass plate, break it, and just let it be known, like you let it all out, kind of thing. So yeah, that's I would definitely say like we can say like taking it day by day, um, and understanding like the things that you're doing. because that can lead to some problems.
Oh, Mr. Eric, right before you go, I kind of can relate to DJ Reacts. I would just say, don't talk to me or give me some time to calm down, because that's kind of what the type of person I am. Like, if I'm upset, just leave me alone for a little bit, because I don't know, I gotta get my head together, and I'd rather not like flash out on you because I'm feeling some type of way. Sometimes it really don't even have to do with another person. Like, it's something else that I'm dealing with, and then all of a sudden, like, my whole mood changed, and I don't want to take it out on you. So sometimes you just need a little bit of space, and I don't know if it's necessarily like the right way to be, where you need space like that in order for you to like get your aggression out. Because after a while, like, if I'm left alone for too long, I might not even say how I was feeling before. Like, I just try to change my mood and then not address whatever I was upset about. Because now all this time has passed where I got time to myself and I didn't talk to nobody. So now it's like, okay, might as well just not talk anymore because I think I'll be fine now. Mr. Eric, what do you think?
Well, I was kind of going to respond to what you were saying to make sure you kind of know yourself and know how you react to difficult situations and conflicts. And if you know that you kind of need that time first, and take that time. But I think there's also a balance where you take time for yourself and try to calm down, but you also want to make sure you do actually communicate with that person and try to work things out. I guess it also depends on the situation, right? But if you just kind of let it sit or fester, sometimes that can cause issues too. So trying to find a good balance between talking it out, but also taking the time to calm down, I think is a good thing to consider, right? So
I think for me, I really just trying to figure out what in my communication I can work on. Like, I don't know how y'all like react with certain things when you're upset, but like, do y'all think it's best to react to something like within the same day? Like, if something just happened, are y'all the type that sleep on it and respond like a next day or two, or like a week, like I do? Or are y'all people that just reevaluate it for a couple minutes and then boom, act on it? Like, y'all can respond to it. Because for me, I feel like sometimes I wait too long. Like, it'll be a week or two and something happened a week or two ago, and I'm like, now that I'm saying something, like, I look crazy because I should have been said something. So do y'all like sleep on it a day or two? Like, how long is too long to address something that upsets you?
Um, for me, I can say I'm both, like the reevaluate part and like the sleeping on it. Um, like, but like it depends. It also depends on the situation. Like, you understand that first situation that I slept on Cam, and I had to sit, sleep on it for a good 2 days, think about it, reevaluate like what I was talking about, because when I'm tensed up, I regret things that I say. So it was like kind of sort of regretted that a little bit, just a tad bit. Um, now that I saw that and I understand that, like understood that to like the fullest capacity, like maybe I needed to put like things on hold before I try and do new things that I know that is a priority to my life, kind of thing. So I would definitely say I'm both. Most definitely.
yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, I think for me it also depends. Like, if it's a minor conflict where it's just like a little thing, maybe I'd leave it for a day and try to come back to it. But kind of like what Cam's saying, if it's like a major issue, where like we're really not getting along, me and this other person, or um, maybe they're really going through something difficult, but they aren't comfortable talking about it yet, like maybe leave it for a week, and let them kind of get through their issue, or you get through what you're going through, kind of before you really delve into the situation. So yeah, I think it just kind of depends on this, on what's going on, you know.
And I would definitely agree to Keontae McCoy. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong, but she said I'll just let it go unless it's something major. I That's agreeable. sometimes I just let it sit there in my messages, like, because iMessage, you don't have to fully open the message. You can just hold it and just read what it was. So that's what, like, because that's what I did sometimes before I even answer it. I'm like, what is this about? Like what is she texting me for? But then I'd be like it'll be something so simple. I'll be like, oh, and I just leave it at that, or I answer in like 10 or 15 minutes. But like if it's something major, I instantly turn my thinking cap on, and I try to find ways. Say for instance, I try to find ways to get like a better solution for my communication, because people say my communication is up. I don't see, but definitely finding ways to fix it and things like that.
Mm. Chelsea said her max has been a week. I don't know, y'all. I did like 2, 3 weeks. It honestly depends. Sometimes I just think I just avoid confrontation like so bad. Like I don't want to be in an argument at all, nor do I want to like I want understanding from the other person's side, but at the same time, it's like I want you to understand me and that be it. Like I send you a text message, we move on, and like I don't know, it sounds real unrealistic the way that I want to set up, but I just don't like people going back and forth with me, and I need to get outside of that and outside of my comfort zone when it comes to like addressing situations and stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm not a fan of confrontation, but I've tried to learn kind of more recently that sometimes you really need to advocate for yourself, or I need to advocate for myself, um, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's within friendships, making sure that your voice is still heard, while also kind of, if it's like a really serious situation, um, sometimes you do got to let it breathe for yourself, let the other person kind of calm down too. So kind of I keep going back to this, that there's a balance kind of with a lot of things that you deal with, but really learning how to also advocate for yourself is an important issue too, you know.
Do y'all think y'all have boundaries in communication? Like, I know for me, for sure, you got to respect me if I'm like saying how I feel, especially knowing that it take me a little bit to come around when saying how I feel. If you come at me, you coming at me crazy. I don't know. I might start doing stuff petty. I'm not gonna lie. Like, behind closed doors, I need to be a little petty. Like, if you got the iMessages, I'm gonna put your read receipts on so you can see that I read the message, and then I'm gonna ignore you. Like, because first of all, who are you talking to like that? No. So, like, what's your boundaries for communication?
My boundaries for communication, like, one, respect all the way. You come off the neck, I'm gonna put the red receipts on, and I'm gonna comment back like, "Oh, I lied to you." Now I did it multiple times. Another one I can say is like, do not text me past 12 a.m. Like, if we was already talking like before 10, and it's a continuation going on, I'm like, all right, it doesn't, like, it's past 12, my eyes is going low, and I'm sleep texting, and sleep texting versus something very important does not add up. So don't text me before 12. And like another thing, like, understand what you about to text me like for, because a lot of people text me on, like, it'd be like the scams texting me. I'd be like, what are you texting me for? Like, find somebody else to text. But I would definitely say understand what you're talking about and things like that. Because once, if you don't know what you're talking about and you just send it, somebody gonna reply like what? Like what? Like, yeah. So definitely, and the red receipts comes a long way. Like, it they comes and they hurt too, real hurt.
Yeah, it always comes back to making sure that. So if you are going to take time with it, don't show that you read it. No, that's what we learned today, folks. But yeah, no. So I guess boundaries for me, like kind of same thing. I don't want someone texting me like past midnight really either. But also like the respect, as Dante was saying. Like I'm just gonna go off Dante. He's got some good knowledge that he's dropping here. If someone's like really disrespecting me, uh, sometimes I can't really let it wait. Like if I feel like I am still being calm enough, like sometimes you got to let them know that what they're saying is not okay. Like especially if they're your friend, you should be able to respond and have those conversations with them. Like that's how I try to approach it, at least. Like if it's someone that you're not super close with and you're having an issue, like professionally, that's maybe different, where you really need to make sure you're in the right headspace. Um, I mean, generally, you need to make sure you're in the right headspace, because you don't want to really be fighting. But with like a good friend, I think it's important to try to deal with those issues as they come, um, like as best as you can. I don't know. What do you think, Cam?
Yeah, I think a lot of times situations it got to be timely. We got to be respectful of one another. We got to try to have some level of understanding, being open minded, everything like that. I mean, sometimes you got to be petty so people can just know. That's why I said the read receipts thing, because sometimes if you don't respond or they don't see you read it, they gonna keep pushing you. Like they gonna keep sending messages like, I seen what you said. I'm not responding right now. So I think is that type of thing. But does Mr. Eric, you think it's a good question? Might help people right now, like help some youth?
Cam, I think I missed part of what you said. I don't know if that was my computer at the end there. What did I miss?
I said, what's some things that you feel like that could help some youth right now? Like, what questions you think that we can answer that could help some youth with effective communication? And if y'all got any other questions, y'all can drop them in the chat as well.
I think that boundary question was good. I'd say it's not a strong suit of mine to think of questions on the spot, but um, let's see. I mean, we're talking about like emails, maybe how to communicate with a supervisor. So when I was talking about advocating, I think when you're communicating with someone who's like maybe technically that you work for, I think it's really good to kind of know how to make sure you're advocating for yourself, and but doing it in like we're saying, like a really respectful way, where you're kind of considering how they might take what you're saying. Um, as you might be upset at your boss because maybe they're working you too hard, or maybe they're um, not really making sure you're in an okay space where you have time to get your work done or something like that. And you got to let them know, because maybe you're not going to do as good of a job. So uh, making sure that you're communicating in that sense is really important. So Dante, how would you kind of deal with a situation where you kind of want to let your supervisor know that maybe you need some more time, and maybe you're being worked too hard? How do you kind of have those communications with the supervisor?
Um, having like a having a clean email, because that's another one, and sending it off of uh sending it off of a good email, like having it based set up as a good email. You sending it, like ending it or beginning it with like a hey or thank you or something like that. Thank you for choosing me, or thank you for thank you for choosing me. Because I had to do it before. I had to contact one of my supervisors because paperwork was sent in the mail, and I didn't understand what it was, so I instantly texted them, and they got back to me within 10 minutes. So it was like that was very fast. And I got that. I got a phone call, got an email, and we fixed like the problem, because it was like it was minor. um Another thing, like I can see, like I'm gonna use school for instance, even though I know y'all don't want school is about to come up with next month. So another way how I can communicate with like my counselor or whatever, I got her number, but like I don't want to blow her phone down, and she like, what is he texting me for? But like sending off an email off my student email, because student and your regular email, it has to be two different, like it's like they manage your school email and you manage your own email, so it's like you can't be emailing your friend off your school email and they saying what you sending. But I can definitely say, like talking to my school counselor, like off of my school email, she giving me updates about school. Since I'm the class president, I have to know things before like we go back into the building or whatever. But another thing, like when it comes to communication with like adult, my communication is off with the adult. But like I don't know if it's just me. Oh, but respect has to come within. Like you have to respect yourself before you try to respect others. Like I can't be cool with you. Like I can be cool with you, but you don't respect me. But how am I supposed to be respecting you when I don't see it coming off of you? Kind of thing. So yeah.
Mr. Eric, could you repeat your question?
So my question was kind of how do you get through conflicts with your supervisor or advocate for yourself with like a supervisor of some sort? Kind of how do you approach that situation?
Normally, I just get like, say I'm falling out with somebody in like my internship or something like that. Normally, I would go and seek adult like guidance, like Miss Mo, Miss Simone, Miss Joni, and see like how I should approach things. Like I tell them like my intentions and how I want to say it, but like how do I make sure that it's like I kind of have it be like a security check, like a double security thing. Like, I know what I'm saying. I think it's pretty respectful, but like, do you think it's going to be taken respectful from the adult point of view? So I get guidance first. And then from there, like, I'm pretty good at writing professional emails. So, of course, you have to start with a greeting, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You know, this tell them what the situation is, what you're addressing. After that, how it makes you feel, how we can move on and how we can make things better. So a lot of times people come and they just tell you the problem with no solution. So I feel like when I tell the problem or the issue that I have and give a solution to, they allow it to be like a cushion for them to take it like a better way. Because I hate people that just tell me problems and problems and problems and never have anything to solve it. It's always people that just come with all the problems and have nothing to do or nothing to add value to. So I come with my problem and the solution that I think we can do, and also am open to hear anything they have to make sure that we can move on with another clear step of understanding. So I try to do that. Sometimes I don't do it over the email. I try to call on the phone, which kind of make me uncomfortable. But I've been stepping out of my comfort zone because I feel like things can be misconstrued through text. Like emails because people can't really read your tone. Like you can't be like angry tone or calm tone in parentheses. Like that's corny. So you got to just call them, tell them how you feeling, what's going on, and then from there you should be able to move on. Especially in a professional setting, like you're supposed to be keeping it professional. So it shouldn't be where it's too much tension in the workplace. And if it is, I don't know. I probably would dip out on a job. Not gonna lie. Like if it's hard to work under like bad leadership or like a toxic work environment. So sometimes you just have to learn when to remove yourself as well if it's got to that far of an extent. Because I know for me, I used to work at a job and like it was probably like my only job besides youth groups that I ever had. And I was getting disrespected. And it was past the point where I felt like I wanted to say, oh, this is the problem. You need to fix this. It was like, oh, no, let me put my 2 weeks in. Like sometimes you just got to know when to remove yourself from things and how far you willing to have somebody cross your boundaries. First of all, nobody should be crossing your boundaries in the first place. But if they go above and beyond to like break those boundaries, you know, anything like that, make sure that you're removing yourself, protecting your peace, and knowing who you are. So that's kind of how I go about it.
Yeah, so like I guess kind of off of that, hopefully what you can do is prevent it from getting to that level, but sometimes you can't. So maybe you've already had that conversation like we're talking about, and then your boundaries just keep getting crossed, and yeah, you got to get out of there. Nobody should have to work through a toxic work environment. So I definitely respect that. And I think Dante was putting in our chat that team meetings can be helpful in some situations. So like if it's kind of the whole work environment, kind of whatever team you're on. So if you're like on a sports team or something and someone's or a lot of people being disrespectful or something of that sort. Sometimes you got to all meet as a team and kind of try to make it work, so you're all working together better, you know. Um, and some people are saying in the chat, like direct communication. Someone said, I agree, Cam, it's easier to help someone when they help you help them. Tell me how to help you and I'll see what I can do. So really trying to make sure you're helping others where you can. Yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to touch on, like the tone of an email when you're talking about communication. Like Cam talked about like starting off with a greeting and closing it off with like a closing sentence or something like that. Basically how you're doing it like with the essay. You state basically your topic sentence. Your topic sentence is your greeting. Then you instantly go right into it and then you close it off with a sentence, like a conclusion sentence. Somebody emailed me like a couple days ago and it didn't have no subject. It didn't have like the date on it and anything like that. So I was like, I'm not gonna open it. But I opened it to see like what it was or whatever. So because I have to open it. I have almost over 11,000 emails. So it was like I have to open it. So I opened it or whatever. And they were just talking. And I was like, where's the greeting? Where's the they instantly got this like, I don't like this, I don't like that. I'm like, that's angry. Like the tone, like when like some things that you have to realize that when you're in the business world or whatever, you can't let things like overpower you. Like you can't let people think, oh, you're not worth it. Like Cam, she said she was at a job and she felt like she was being disrespectful to the max. Well, disrespected, not disrespectful, but disrespected to the max or whatever. And she had to put her 2 weeks in. That's something I had to do myself. But it was like, I put my 2 weeks in because I knew my priority. I knew what I had to do. I knew it was best for me as a young man. I knew it was best for me and what's going to help me get out of Baltimore. Because I love my city and all, but I have to obviously branch out a little bit. But yeah.
I kind of wanted to tap on to what Dante said earlier. Like, how could you expect respect from somebody else if you don't respect yourself? I feel like that's so deep because if you don't like, say you doing stuff crazy on your Instagram, you don't respect yourself because you're not respecting your brand that you're putting out there. So how could you go out there and be like, oh, I deserve this, or whatever the case may be, or I need respect, and you don't do it for yourself? I feel like a lot of people be having like double standards. I don't know if that's the right word. It might be double standards or like unreal expectations for how they want things to go, like, or being a hypocrite too. So I don't know. Does anybody like, well, not does anybody, does everybody know how to professionally like communicate with like jobs and things like that? Because I know like Bright Future Fridays that touch more on career exploration and stuff, but like I feel like we're not taught enough how to effectively communicate. So do y'all know how to effectively communicate like in a professional setting and in a personal setting? And it don't have to be like nothing that's right and wrong. I just wanted to see like, do y'all think y'all know how to or not? Or like, if not, what ways can we help you or adults help you to better communicate?
I love that question. Yeah, drop that in the chat if you have any questions for us. Because sometimes there's some of these weird kind of unwritten rules when it comes to professional communication that you might not think of. And one of those things, like Dante was talking about, is having like a really nice greeting, kind of trying to add a little bit of personality to what you're writing, just a touch, right? Just so that they kind of know that you're really trying to be welcoming and trying to connect with them. Because a lot of people professionally get a ton of emails. And so if you're not really making sure that yours stands out a little bit, then they're not really going to necessarily always read it or remember to respond if you're not making that kind of personal connection. So I think that's really key. And then another thing that was mentioned, Cam and Dante talking about respecting yourself, being kind to yourself, and really taking that time to connect with yourself is so important, especially and then like later on being able to respect others, right? And having others respect you. If you aren't caring for yourself, it's hard to understand kind of how you should be treated, right? If you're not being nice to yourself, then you're not going to necessarily realize when you're in a toxic environment. Is kind of how I'm thinking about that situation. Um, but someone's kind of Kendall's bringing back something we talked about earlier: eye contact, good body language, positive attitude, and asking questions. So those are some definitely key themes we've hit on so far.
Mr. Eric, I wanted to touch on just a little bit. You said like taking care of yourself. Self-care is another sign of respect. Like you have to like when I said earlier, like you have to respect yourself before you respect others. Respecting your self-care, respecting like your hygiene, respect not just your hygiene, like respecting where you understand like what you know is wrong or you know is going to help you. Because I had to figure that out by myself. I had to figure that out from Cam and Miss Joni. Like certain things you might have to say no to. Like it's okay to say no because you're overworked. Like it's okay to say no. But then it's like it's also okay because your self-care comes in a way you have almost four like after success sessions is over or when it Wednesdays this time. Ms. Jonah always say you got 4 hours left to go do your goals or go finish on your self-care. And I do that, Cam said, when you're on like Instagram, got like showing things that you know that's not good for your brand or your business or anything like that. That's not taking care of yourself. That's not taking care of your self-care. That's not showing that you respect others. You just respect the things that you're doing. Tone is definitely another one. Because in your email you could be like, oh hey, and like when it say like hey or something like that, or hey how you doing or something, and then ended off like a LOL kind of thing. Like depending on what's the topic, and you ended up with a LOL. Maybe someone was having a bad day, and you put the LOL in there, and now they're laughing at the end of the email. So it's like making sure that your tone is very like making sure your tone is very good in your body language. Body language is another. You could just be standing on the wall, just looking, just shaking. Like now, like once if I'm talking and I know that you're like fading away or whatever, I know like it's my time to like, I'm gonna close it up kind of conversation. So yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of want to go back to that self-care thing. I know for me, when I don't take care of myself, I get cranky. I start um, maybe not being as nice to others as I should be. Like maybe when I get home from work, making sure that for me, I got to get time outside. I've learned that if I don't do that, I get in a bad mood. That and making sure I'm well fed. um, yeah, because I got to get some of that vitamin D, take a little walk, move around some, kind of after sitting all day. Otherwise, like I'm not fun to be around. So if you're not taking that time for yourself, yeah, how can you expect to um, be respectful to others and be as kind to others as you should be? You know, so I think that's such an important thing to think about.
Yeah, for me, I'm definitely with you, Mr. Eric. If I'm not fed, I don't have a shower or something, somebody is getting an attitude. I don't know who it's gonna be.
That's how it was with my mother the other day or whatever. Because it was like things was happening today. Things was happening. And I'm like, I have a meeting at 9. I'm not home. Like it was. I had to tell my mother like, if I cannot get on here, we're gonna have a problem. But like that's another thing when it comes to self-care. Like you have to understand like what you have to do. Like don't overwork yourself. You when you have things scheduled, don't schedule nothing at the same time as like your meeting because you're gonna be you're gonna feel like you're overworking yourself. I wanted to reply to Mo P. This person said, how do you write or say it professionally? Like I said earlier, like making sure that you have the right subject that's surrounding the topic. Making sure it's either in bold or in caps. Not all caps, but like the first couple of like the first sentence or like the first word is in caps. I know when you send a little thing like an orange or yellow, whatever color it was, like that, like I give it like somebody like the intention, like this is very important, or this is like like we want you to notice this. Uh, putting like greetings, getting right into the greetings. Hey, I'm gonna say for instance, hey Camry Moses, comma, space it out, and then start it off with my email. Put a period at the end, thanks or thank you Dante, and then put like whatever program you work with at the bottom, or because I know certain emails have like a like it's already wrote out at the bottom, your first and last name, youth works at the bottom, or career edge or someone. So yeah, like basically understanding like how, yeah, checking your grammar and things like that. So yeah.
Exactly. And Joey mentioned to definitely use full sentences, like taking your time to make sure what you wrote down is coherent, like that it'll be understood from the other side. So you might totally understand what you're writing, like it makes so much sense. But if you don't read it back, then you can't make sure that it's really coming off clearly. Making sure that you're keeping your email pretty short. So if you just kind of ramble on and on and on, which I tend to do like the first time I write an email, and then I realize, okay, I need to kind of cut down a little bit. Like they're not going to want to take that much time to read what I wrote. So really making sure you're being clear with what you're writing, checking your grammar, checking your spelling, because that all comes across as being professional. The more that you ensure that your email will be understood and looks good, the better it'll come off.
Yeah, definitely. So, yo, we ready to drop jewels. I'm gonna go first, and it's kind of been sitting in my mind for like 10 minutes, so I'm gonna just say it. I feel like a common thing what we've been saying is it starts with you. So if you respect yourself, other people gonna respect you too. The expectations that you set for yourself is the same thing that you can set for other people. And as you work within yourself, you'll learn how to better work with other people.
You done took my whole jewel, Cam. But I'm gonna definitely talk about the respect part as well. When you treat yourself like royalty, there's always respect at the end of the path. So that's my jewel.
I don't know how to follow those two, but for me, it's balancing patience with clear communication when dealing with confrontation.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in to Wisdom Wednesday this week. I know it was kind of like out of the ordinary. We had Mr. Eric jump on. We was having mishaps with like organizations and stuff, but I'm glad that y'all still showed up, even though we didn't. We had a special guest. We had Mr. Eric today. He's a special guest for today. But thank y'all so much for joining me. Love y'all.
Thank you.